At the end of a hard week, it's great to sit down and take some time off and watch some football. Game-winning touchdowns on 2-minute drives, running backs racing down the sidelines with no one to stop them. There's nothing else like the NFL, and there's no better way to make the games even more exciting than to bet on them. So do the smart thing and go to mybookie.ag. No one gives you more ways to win than they do. MyBookie's got the fastest payouts and better lines than any other sports book. Don't forget, where you're betting is just as important as who you're betting on, and mybookie.ag is the best in the business. Do the smart thing. If you're going to bet this football season, bet with MyBookie. If you're the kind of guy that likes to bet a little and win a lot, try a parlay. If all your picks come through, you'll multiply your winnings. And no matter how you bet, the NFL season is the best time of year. Join now and MyBookie will double your first deposit. Use promo code Detroit100 to activate the offer. That's promo code DETROIT100. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid.
Fellas, I want to tell you about a product that can improve your performance in the bedroom. And what better way to improve the quality of your life than to please the woman of your dreams? Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. Blue Chew is the fast and easy solution for any man looking to enhance their performance and step up their game. You don't have to be one of those guys that finishes quickly, or you don't have to be one of those guys that, at the end of the day, regrets not having a great sex life. Blue Chew is prescribed online and shipped straight to your door in a discreet package, so no in-person doctor's visit, no waiting in the pharmacy, and best of all, no more awkwardness. They're made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're cheaper than a pharmacy. Right now, we've got a special deal for our listeners. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free when you use our special promo code Detroit. All you got to do is pay the $5 shipping and handling fee. Again, that's BlueChew.com, promo code Detroit to try it free. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, faster choice, and we thank them for sponsoring the podcast.
Detroit is the greatest! Straight up light you on fire for a Coney dog right now.
Darren McCarty comes back to Neiman in front of him. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty! No! He makes them a goal! Darren McCarty!
Stafford takes, throws, end zone, Calvin, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Thank you for downloading the latest edition of the Motor City Sports Rant. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Jason Jarvi will be joining me. I had an opportunity earlier this morning to place a phone call to Jason. We did get a chance to talk about the Detroit Lions. Man, what a gripping victory. 13-10. They made it more difficult for themselves. Jason and I had planned to talk here in the studio, but today is his birthday, so everybody here at the network wishes Jason a happy birthday. So what ended up happening was he told me, he's like, okay, John, I'm trying to definitely get in and talk about the Lions and Michigan State, but I got to get to the Secretary of State. It's my birthday, got to do the whole license thing and get that all renewed, and if he's going to travel, you got to guess nowadays you got to have this special thing added to your license. And so I said, okay, what time are you going? Early in the morning around 8:39. So I said, okay, if he's going to get there that early, I don't think that he's going to be ready by like 9:30, 10 when Vito comes in and we handle the rest of the day's business. So he calls me right at 9:15. He's like, I'm ready to go. I'm like, whoa, I'm shocked because of the fact that, usually it takes a long time whenever you're at Secretary of State. And he relayed, he's like, oh man, John, no, I got there early. I want to take care of business. I got there an hour early. It was definitely a lot better. So what we did was we set up a phone conversation and we recorded it, and we will play that here shortly. But before we get to our conversation with Jason Jarvi regarding the Lions, I got Vito here on a Tuesday morning, and I had an opportunity, Vito, to cover the Detroit Lions, and the experience was great. Now, covering sports in the past made it easier, but like always, Vito, there's always challenges in terms of I could not find the garage at first. I circled around. I passed it because stupid GPS, I relied upon it. And so basically it's all the way down Gratiot, basically all the way past the arena and all the way past Ford Field. And I go past, and I'm looking for it. And where GPS took me down to a back alley, which was maybe a block away from the entrance. So I finally found it, and it's a walk. It's almost like a 3/4 mile walk. I guess there was a shuttle. I got the shuttle on the way back, Vito, but going there, it was a hike to get from the Campus Martius garage to Ford Field. So at first, man, I planned on getting there by like 10 a.m. I ended up getting there about 10:30.
A few things. Okay, so happy birthday to Jason. I didn't get a birthday shout-out when it was my birthday. I don't know why that was. I mean, what makes Jason so special? But I don't remember a birthday shout-out. Also, why don't you just park in the alley and just stay there? Leave your car there. Nothing would have happened to your vehicle. Come on, John. What are you afraid of, man?
Just park right there, right across from Ford Field.
Leave it there, man. Why not? Come on. Have some cojones. Grow a pair or something like that.
But getting to the press box was fun. It was a good festive atmosphere. A lot of people got there early. People were just excited to be part of NFL football. So being a part of it was fun. Got to take a quick video of, they had a zip line and some kids were going down it. And I just felt good doing it. So all in all, it was a great day. Got to see the ins and outs of how the coverage takes place. Man, what an operation the National Football League is with all the reporters, television, the photographers, and how a game is presented. But I was telling Adam how hyper-focused I was on everything. Just, I didn't know any of the day's news in the NFL. I was so focused on the Lions and all the plays that were happening. But one of the best parts of it is meeting new reporters and meeting people that were there covering the game from out of town. And an opportunity that I had, which was really awesome, was I met Kevin Allen, the longtime USA Today reporter. He was seated right next to me. So we struck up a conversation, and he's from here, and he's talking to me about his long career and, what kind of number expectations the USA Today has in terms of, readership and all that stuff. And I was like, wow. And, it was great to talk to him, and he potentially will be a guest on a future edition of a podcast here in Detroit. And he's got a vast array of knowledge in all sports, but definitely in the world of hockey. I remember growing up listening to his coverage of the Red Wings and talking about all things in the NHL. So that was really cool to meet him, and he was so welcoming, and it was great to be part of it. But one thing I did realize is that being, somebody covering sports, and I always wondered, I'll be honest, straightforward with you, Vito, I always wondered, why do the News and Free Press and MLive send like 4 reporters? I understand. For a game, I definitely understand why you need 4. You could have 2 in the media locker room where they do the press conferences with Matt Patricia and Matthew Stafford, and then you need 2 more to cover all the interviews that take place in the locker room, because it's so, like, I literally walked in, and when they opened it, it was like a race to all the athletes. You've seen all the one-on-ones going on, you've seen all the athletes being approached, and it just felt surreal how fast-paced it was, and I was kind of used to it in covering other sports in terms of how to get to the athlete and get positioned properly. But I just felt like it was a whirlwind. It was a blur. I got into the locker room, and all of a sudden, boom, there's cameras, lights, excitement. There's a buzz in the air. So that was cool. But being a one-man show, I had the time, like, okay, where do I go? I said to myself, okay, I think the more valuable insights will be in the locker room. So I did not really get a chance to see Matt Patricia or Matthew Stafford. I caught the tail end of his, but I was racing back and forth. It's within like maybe 20 steps of each other, the 2 rooms. But to cover a game, you need 2 people at minimum to try and get as much information as you can. So now I see why from that perspective. Other areas, maybe you don't need that many staffers. But in a game setting, Vito, it's like, to be honest, I got there, the game happened, the post-game happened, and it literally felt like 20 minutes. That's how fast it felt, fast-paced. And I got a lot of quotes, got a lot of insights, and I felt like, man, I'm in the mix. And to see my name there on the placard, I think I had posted it on Facebook. To see my name there meant a lot. Listen to Doc and Jock. Maybe this week I'll share one of my complaints that I had, but nothing major, just something
you
that
still have a gripe. I mean, you got access finally, covered a game.
You want to know what?
You want to know what? The Lions media members in the press box.
You want to know what? Okay, I'll share it. It's not terribly wrong. I mean, that's why I signed with Sports Illustrated. Was I had a feeling, okay, if John works for Sports Illustrated, there's going to be no problem with access. Okay, so obviously you all know my almost 4 or 5 year battle of getting credentials and working with the podcast to establish it as a media outlet and things like that. Well, so I get there, I find my name on the list. Okay, great, JohnSI.com, no problem. And then I'm like, okay, let's see how this all stacks up. Who's seated where? Who gets the prime 50-yard reporting position? Okay, the beat writers, the television, the PR staff, no problem, prime seats, all right? Then I look, I see 4 spots blank. I look at that and I go, okay. And literally they're to my left. So I'm seated pretty much in the end zone, and I have a great view. Everything's great. I listen to Dan Miller and Lomas Brown. I'm into the game, into all the coverage, got the stats ready, got the tweets ready, got all the engagements. Almost 2,000 people tweeted us throughout the game. Love it. Love you guys for your interaction and what you've done for us. I obviously did tweet out thank you because it was surreal realizing that you guys put me there, not me. I did all the work and you guys supported me, and I will always remember that. But there were 4 open seats to my left. Nobody occupied them. And so that naturally is going to harken back to the grind that I was in, saying, hey, I think now it's pretty obvious. I don't sign with Sports Illustrated if I don't have a following. I don't sign with Sports Illustrated if I did not put out quality work. I don't get an opportunity to have an interview with a very, high-powered and very, well-respected media member. I don't get that opportunity if I'm not an outlet. I'm not trying to call you up to just mess around. And I understand the whole notion of the trial basis. I got that. But to say, of course, maybe they're for dignitaries, and Adam told me, he's like, look, But at the same time, I wasn't asking for 4 seats. I wasn't asking for like 1 million seats here. I just wanted 1 seat. This is what I brought to the table. I think they could have accommodated it, being that there was space and what I had accomplished. I felt like I could have earned it. But listen, I'm a fair guy. I understand the other side, okay? If I'm looking at the other side and looking at me going, what the hell is this podcaster trying to cover sports for? But I felt like if they would have dug a little deeper, they would have realized, holy cow, this guy covered 200, 300 events well before coming here, that he used this as the culmination of all the reporting that he did. And you saw me 10 times prior. So, I'm not out there trying to go, hey, dropping bombs all over the place. But I just felt like there was room for 1 seat for a guy for the work that I did. But at the same time, I was jumping a step. But at the end of the day, there's a value in me going, hey, the Detroit Sports Podcast Network is now affiliated with Sports Illustrated. What? Exactly. So there's a little bit of a stamp there because not only, Vito, I understand both sides. I'm a patient man and things like that.
Well, I don't know how patient you really are. Patience is a virtue, John, and maybe you have to practice that a little bit more often.
But Vito, look, I understand, like I said, from their point of view, they could have just asked, okay, what did you cover? Boom, 2 NCAA tournaments, all the work with the Tigers, all the stuff that we did with college basketball, all the stuff that we did at the smaller levels, all the things that we did, that went unnoticed. You could have just asked. You could have just said, okay, what have you done? You could have just said, but I understand the notion of when you say, okay, I can't just let you roll in. This is going to be our procedure. Actually, it's a fair procedure in terms of, hey, if you're a new outlet, come in on a trial basis. But I'm more of a guy that in my life, I believe in case-by-case scenario. I don't like universal policies. I'm more like, okay, you want to come in and cover the lines? Tell me what you've done. Oh, tell me why you deserve to be here. Oh, tell me why. I'll say, okay, I do a daily podcast, fully supported by sponsors. I have journalists on staff. This is what I do, and this is why I want to cover the Detroit Lions. This is what I can offer. I got a nice, solid, healthy, engaged fan base that when I throw a tweet out, they're going to answer it, and they're going to be engaged, and some of them are going to be a little bit rowdy, but hey, rowdy people enjoy coverage too, so I cater to everybody, and that's how I built this thing, was to say, I don't exclude anybody. You got a wild opinion? Share it. You got a good opinion? I'll read it. So, now I'm just telling everybody, look, the podcast got signed by Sports Illustrated, and it's so good to say because guess what? Now that Sports Illustrated's there, they weren't there before, so now they got a seat. I get it. SI ranks higher than the Detroit Sports Podcast, but in my mind, with the work that I did, it felt like it was ready to be part of it, but I wasn't going to wait a year. Hell no, I'm not waiting no year. I was ready now. So I made the decision, signed my name to the paper, and the Detroit Sports Podcast is affiliated with Sports Illustrated. I got my seat, and hell, I'll kick the damn door down any way that I feel, necessary, because I'm not waiting for someone else to tell me. I'll find a way because I make goals and I reach them. But I just felt like it wouldn't have been a major issue if they gave me 1 seat. One seat. You could put me at the top. You could have put me at the worst seat at the top and let me see the field. It would have been fine, and it would have been possible. So, but at the end of the day, Vito, guess who was covering the Detroit Lions, baby?
John Charles Macaroon.
John Macaroon.
And not Vito Chirco.
But you were door down.
And you deserved it.
And I deserved it. And no doubt about it. And I'll clap for myself. And
well, you've done that already behind the scenes many times, right? Come on.
Yeah,
a lot of pats on the back for yourself.
No, at the end of the
clapping for yourself. I know that much.
Vito, at the end of the day, my biggest problem is I'm too humble. Okay, that's my biggest problem. I got to find...
Oh, yes, yeah, you have no ego whatsoever. Yeah, you're a very humble dude, really humble to a T. Like, you look up the definition in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. John Macaroon's face will be there by the word humble.
No, if I would have reported what I was doing sooner, then this probably would have been an endeavor that would have... potentially.
Could have been, but you know what? Let's focus on the now, right?
Yes.
It was accomplished. We've done it. Good for you. You deserved it. And you know why they don't do the case-by-case basis? And sad but true, too much work on their part to have to go through everybody's case for why they should be credentialed. They don't want to deal with that. They're a large entity, a large organization that deals with so many media members, right? And people that work as a part of their organization. They don't want to make time for you, John, and those that just apply and deal with looking at your resume, your experiences, and basing you being credentialed or not off of that. It's too much time and work for them, John.
Did I tell you?
But true.
Did I tell you I'm affiliated with SI.com?
You didn't tell me yet. Please tell me again.
Okay.
Please tweet it out. Keep tweeting it out.
Yeah.
Keep yelling to the masses on Facebook and all over social media, John, because you love it. You love it, baby.
Macaroon went from the basement to SI.com.
You made it happen. Honestly, I think you're getting off to it, too, right now as we're speaking. And you have at least. If you're not right now, if you're not right now, you have. Okay, behind closed doors. In this office, maybe, as in the studio, too, or at your house and many other places, because I know you've been readily excited by this news. And by that chance, that opportunity to finally cover your hometown Detroit Lions. And once again, you totally deserve the honor.
And here's the thing, too. I also am thankful I'm not an athlete. You know why? Dude, they got this attitude like they get freaked out by the questions. If I was an athlete, if I was a Detroit Lion, the media's in the locker room every day. I would be definitely asking, when's the media coming? I would sit in front of my locker and answer because they got.
You would love it.
Oh my God, it's
You'd want
amazing.
more media. You would tell the Lions PR people, media relations people, I want more media. I want more media.
I'm
available. And then all come to me.
I'm available Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Can they come in on Saturday on the off day? Because, Oh my God.
Yeah. All the time, you would want 24/7 access.
The bright lights.
But you would want it just for yourself. You would say, hey, not for my teammates, for me, baby.
Exactly.
All about me.
Bright lights, 5 cameras, they're just asking you questions. You could say whatever you want. You could be joking. Listen, I know the whole, we're scared of the context thing, but at 40 years old, maybe if I was 25, I wouldn't exactly be ready for the bright lights.
But now you are, you're saying.
Oh, my God. I would just sit there for 45 minutes and just be like, ask away. What do you got to give? Well, how does it feel, to win this contest? Oh, my God, it's the greatest feeling ever. This is the best thing ever. We're part of the team. Blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, you get the vibe that someone's telling them, look, watch what you're saying.
Watch what you're saying. Cut it off after 5-10 minutes. And they cut it off for you. They tell the guys to move on. Hey, last question. Time to move on. You're all done here.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Remember, they have those guys in their ear, so as much as you would want to be an open book and just talk about anything,
I'd be like, hey,
you would have the PR or the media relations person in your ear.
I'd be like, let him ask. It's okay. Justin, Brad, Jennifer.
Yeah, you would love it. It just wouldn't happen.
I'd be like, wait a minute. Who let the podcaster in here? I don't know. Let him out here.
Let me smack him really quick and push him to the curbside.
Where's this guy I can't see? Who let a kid in here?
Yeah, I can't see him. He's really low to the ground. Is he really an adult? Really? Let me look at him again. Is that an adult?
Hey, that's Vito Chirco, well-respected journalist. Oh, sorry.
Well-respected DSP podcaster.
That's Vito Chirco. He's with Sports Illustrated.
Yes. Now it sounds a lot more rosy and official. Right now, we're getting off to right now as we're speaking. We're more credible. We're professional now.
Dude, I would love it. It would be so fun that we would have fun and laughs and we would share. But at the end of the day, they try to keep it professional, which I get, but it's sports. It's not like rocket science. It's sports. They're talking about flinging a pigskin around. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but everything is made because of, people like me who rile it up a little bit. But it's sports. At the end of the day, it's sports. You can respond at any time you want. You have your own social media platform. You can give the entire quote that you gave. You can have someone tape everything and just say, hey, this is what I really said. Here's the context. You can offset some of the challenges that these athletes face. Oh, my God, Vito, I would love it. I would love every minute of it. I would be a guy that they would love to come to. They would just be like, damn, John's soaking up all the media time. Give us some. Like, no, come to me. Come. I got this to say. And I want to say this, too. I would say, I would play jokes, too. I would just be like, go over there and ask Stafford why he did this and that and did, really zing someone. It'd be fun.
You would have a massive Woody.
Yeah.
The whole entire time talking to the media. You'd be loving yourself, even more than you already do. And we know you love yourself.
The bright
John
lights
Macaroon
would make, it'd be like, damn, he's so quiet, but when we come in, he's like lights up.
He keeps expounding upon stuff that's not even relevant to this conversation. Like, where is he getting these topics from?
Exactly.
He's talking about himself and his golf game and his love life and who he's with, who he's sleeping with right now.
Yeah, exactly. He's talking about stuff we don't even ask.
It's not even relevant. What is this? Where's this guy coming up with all this nonsense?
Or what would happen is I'm ready to talk, and they would give 2 questions and then go on to the next guy and be like, hey, I'm here to talk.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Stand there, lonely.
We got Stafford, though. We got to talk to Stafford, and Stafford will give his canned professional answers and not really give anything. So,
well, see, the thing is, you would be non-professional for like one media session, and then you would turn into a professional talking to the media.
Exactly.
Because the media relations department with the Lions would get you straightened up and act professional very quick.
It's a fair rule. They got all athletes in the NFL are obligated to talk to the media 1 time a week.
And they hate it. Some of them, at least. They hate how they have to go up there weekly and give canned answers. It's like, at some points, I bet they think to themselves and say to themselves, why am I up here answering these questions? Same old questions every single week.
Yeah.
I want to be done with this.
At the end of the day, tough shit,
That's how you view it. Well, media members, we have to, and I think we do largely view it like that. But I kind of can see where these athletes have a beef at times.
Yeah.
I can sympathize with them, empathize with them, because I think it's a lot at times. And some of these guys just aren't natural speakers or very articulate. They aren't sociable people, so they don't want to deal with other people. Okay? So I can kind of, once again, sympathize with some athletes, at least when it comes to getting constant media attention.
All this has been awesome. Definitely enjoying my time covering sports. Thank you guys so much for being a supporter of the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Here now is my conversation with Jason to end the podcast. We talk about the Lions, and at the end, briefly, we talk about Michigan State. Thank you so much for your support. I can't thank you enough for what you've done for me, the podcast, the network. What you've done and showed to me, I will never forget. I'll try my best to give you guys freebies, giveaways, as much as I can pay you back for what you've done for me. I will never, ever forget how you guys made me feel when I signed my name and I got the credential. Oh, man, I froze. I literally froze in my seat in regards to all the work I put in. And when I got the placard, I pulled it out. I froze. I just could not believe where this has gone and where it's going to go. So, like I said, we're kicking the door down, covering sports in the best way possible, and you're following along with the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Enjoy my conversation with Jason. You can listen to the Motor City Sports Rant Tuesdays on the network. Thanks, guys.
Happy birthday, my friend. It's a good opportunity to talk to you regarding the Detroit Lions after their 13-10 victory over the Chargers. What's going on?
Just had to get up real nice and early so I could get to the Secretary of State so I could get my tabs and renew the license. But yeah, got the victory on Sunday, and I wish it was a little bit better, and they definitely still left me frustrated. But win's a win. You got to take it.
I think you had a pleasant experience at Secretary of State. I mean, we had plans to record early in the morning, and I figured you were going to be at Secretary of State for another hour. So an opportunity for you to get there early and to get out early, I was surprised. So it's nice to see sometimes when you do go there, because Secretary of State has a bad reputation. It seems like it wasn't as bad. It wasn't like you had to wait for 4 hours like I did when I lost my ID.
Yeah, it was, I needed to go there because they have the whole new Real ID thing where you can't fly unless you get this new thing on your license. So I knew I had to go there, and so made sure I went an hour early before they opened. Because I was checking online yesterday, trying to see if I can make an appointment, and the first appointment I could make was like October 3rd. So I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't work. So I get there an hour early, and I'm like the third person in line at that point. And some more people trickle in, and like a lady's telling me about how she was there on Friday, and she was there from 10:30 until 2:30, and she still hadn't even been up, and she had to leave, and then didn't get called until like 3:30. So it's just, I was expecting the worst, and I figured maybe it's in and out, but also, maybe they're going to have to do some checks on. But I had everything I needed, got in, got out, and probably one of the least painful experiences of the Secretary of State I've had.
We're going to talk today about the Detroit Lions 13-10 victory. I had a chance to talk to a lot of people about it, and it's been a mixed bag. A lot of people say, okay, good, it's a win. The Lions stand at 1-0-1, but also people are commenting that the Chargers at the same time played so bad that if the Chargers had performed with any level of confidence, if they had any kind of kicking game, that they potentially could have destroyed the Detroit Lions, and that both teams just did not play well. A 13-10 game, people are speculating and looking at it and saying, based on what they saw, it doesn't look good based on how the Lions are playing, and the number one thing people are observing is the defensive line really isn't getting the push necessary to help the cause. Both Phillip Rivers and Kyler Murray have had a lot of time to sit back there in the pocket and throw the football. So that's where a lot of the people that I talk to in regards to the Lions are sitting, in that they say, okay, good, it's a win, but there's a lot of areas of concern in regards to the way in which the Lions perform.
Yeah, watching that game afterwards, I was thinking that even if the Chargers played the same way that they played on Sunday, more often than not, they're going to win that game probably at least 6 or 7 times out of 10 with all the mistakes that they made. Because really, for them, it came down to their kicking game. If they would have converted on those field goals, we wouldn't be talking about a Lions victory. We'd be talking about Lions starting 0-2, and when's the misery going to end for them in the beginning of the season? But both teams, they didn't play the best. And regarding the defensive line, I got to give them a little bit of a pass. Not a complete pass, because they have been billed to be one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. But they didn't get to play too much in the preseason together. Trey Flowers, Mike Daniels, Snacks Harrison's. They all got to camp late. So the first game, I chalk it up to them not really knowing what Arizona Cardinals were going to throw at them with the new Cliff Kingsbury offense, and really just kind of getting their feet back under them. And I think you do have to give credit to the Los Angeles Chargers and Phillip Rivers, that Phillip Rivers is a very good pocket quarterback, and that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He can see the field, he gets the ball out quick, and I think it's going to improve as the season goes on. And it's what we've seen before, is that the Lions defense under Matt Patricia, it takes a little bit to warm up, but then once it gets going, it's going to really start to impact games.
So how would you grade the Lions in terms of what you saw? Obviously, it felt like both teams just struggled with executing at times in terms of making mistakes and killing drives. Many people are obviously as well looking at the Lions special teams and going, man, a missed extra point from Prater, a missed field goal, the kicking return game, the punt return game definitely needs work. So people are like, man, that was a game in which both teams tried to give away the game and nobody wanted it until Darius Slay made that final play. It was up for grabs. But at the end, when you look at it, that's kind of how football rolls, in that sometimes you do got to grind it out, and it's always good to come out with the victory. So I was there in the press box watching the game, covering it, and you just saw that, the Chargers early on were, in terms of their offense, they targeted Keenan Allen quite a bit. He's an emerging, talented wide receiver, and he got the best of Darius Slay. But in the end, Slay, he laughed last. He made the plays that counted, but you just felt like, man, if the Chargers would have brought their B-plus game, they would have been able to probably score 3-4 more touchdowns and finish off some drives. But credit to the Lions defense. They were able to stop the Chargers and really keep the Lions in the game. And I think that's where a lot of the anger comes in, is that what's up with that Lions offense? When you see all those weapons, what happened there? Why were they not able to score a little bit more? Why weren't they able to extend drives and really work on and keeping the plays going and maybe even making some big plays? Stafford had a couple interceptions. But you have to credit the Chargers defense. They got talent there too, and it was a grinded-out game, two teams that I think are pretty evenly matched. It would have been nice to see had the Chargers had a couple of their guys back to see how the Lions compared, but many people do give the Lions credit for defeating the Chargers and going on to Philadelphia to try and get their second win of the season. So for me, I graded a B+. I think that, hey, you take the win, a lot of areas to improve. It's much better to try and improve when you get a victory.
I think you're being quite generous with the B+, because I guess I'm not that much lower. I'd give it a very, very low B-. And easily a C-plus performance, because I think there are still a ton of things that they do need to improve on, but you at least see the possibilities there, because, you know, looking at the way Matt Stafford played, he played a pretty consistent game, but the interceptions, I mean, those were him. Those are all him. You know, you can't really blame, you know, a tip ball or anything on that. Those were, you know, he threw it into coverage, and the Chargers made the better play. And, you know, I'll give him the first one. You know, the first one, you know, defense makes a good play. But that second one that he threw, it was completely unnecessary. You know, you didn't need to go for it all right there. And I would have rather him, you know, check it down, go for someone who's a little bit more open. You don't have to go for the bang-bang play. But I do like that he is at least thinking about taking those shots, because I feel like last year he really lost all that he didn't have the weapons around him to really take those shots. And so it's at least encouraging, but he needs to really pick those spots and when he's going to do those. And, you know, with the rest of the team, you know, they still got to use Kerryon Johnson more. I know he went out for a little bit. I'm not sure what his availability was towards the end of the game, but, you know, they got to use Kerryon Johnson more. And then on the defensive side of the ball, yeah, man, Keenan Allen was shredding Darius Slay. I'm just like, man, what's Hungry Howie's guy? What's going on with him? But then he comes up, he makes the big play, and then our offense is able. I was assuming that the Lions are going to give the Chargers another chance, but they're able to grind it out, get another first down, and end the game. And I was on the edge of my seat for the last couple minutes.
What about the game upset you the most, and what impressed you the most? Because for me, what impressed me was the Lions' ability to make plays late in the game. You know, how many times do you see when the Lions have a lead and they blow it? You know, when they got the ball back after this late interception, how many times would we see run, and then they punt the ball, and then the Chargers come back and score and win the game? How many times have we seen that? They make the key play, and then on that third down call when they were trying to ice the game, a passing play, one that was executed. You know, it was a great scheme, a great call to tight end Jesse James. He runs, and he earns the first down, and essentially the game is over because the Chargers have no more timeouts. So their ability to execute late in this game was impressive. What was infuriating? The lack of pressure. I mean, you brought in some guys. The defensive line is supposedly, you know, the strength of the team, but in the first two games, there just hasn't been consistent pressure. And you saw when Phillip Rivers had time, you know, you even look, there was a stat that said that, you know, in the better part of the last few seasons, he never had more than like 5 yards rushing in the entire season. And he had a 12-yard rush play, and he was lumbering, and he was slow, and you didn't execute on a third down play that was important. So it was infuriating that the defensive line wasn't able to get the pressure needed to help the cause.
You know, I'll start with what upset me first, because it kind of leads into what impressed me. And what upset me most is those third and longs that those are, you know, they're layups for defenses. You should be able to stop teams and get off the field. And too many times I saw in that game where the Chargers were able to, it was third and long, and they made a completion. You know, Phillip Rivers had time. He was able to find his receivers, and they made plays and extended drives. And that's something that they really need to work on moving forward. But conversely, what impressed me the most is that both on the offensive and the defensive side of the ball is that they closed out the game. Is that, you know, they didn't have to run up the score, but when we needed a play, they made that play. That, you know, the Chargers were driving. I'm not sure if they were in the red zone yet, but it looked like they were going to march down and score a touchdown. And Darius Slay comes up with the touchdown. And then on the offensive side of the ball, they're able to run up the clock, because too many times we've seen, you know, maybe on the defensive side, they'll get a stop, and then the offense just goes right back out, gets a 3-and-out, and then the other team gets another chance to break Lions fans' hearts. But both sides of the ball were working, and that's what, impressed me the most and gives me hope that, this team can have some success this year.
Yeah, it's nice to get off to the home portion of their schedule with a victory. It was a great experience being there. I was definitely into it. I was hyper-focused. I messaged Adam after the game. I'm like, what's happened across the league? Obviously, Drew Brees getting hurt, a couple, quarterbacks, marquee quarterbacks getting hurt. I was so focused on the Lions game, I stayed until about 7 p.m. Researching, getting quotes, and being in the locker room. And it's nice to be around the fellas when there's a victory. Everybody was happy, and we got a chance to kind of go in depth and really assess the Detroit Lions. And so, look, a win is a win. They should be 2-0, but they could be 0-2. So that's the National Football League. At least when you're going forward, you can pinpoint areas of improvement. Obviously, Stafford can play better. The offense can perform better. But these games are tough. The other, your opponents get paid too. And now we're going into Philadelphia. It's tough, man. You look at it and you say, the Eagles are coming off of a loss. They're banged up when you look at them. So right now, early on, the Lions have been the beneficiary of playing three teams that have suffered some major injuries. And so I think the Lions have a chance, but at the same time, I like to talk about the fact that, hey, if they play well in years past, you would not think they were able to compete. Now, if they go to Philadelphia and play well, they're going to be in the game, and it's going to come down late. I think the Lions have an opportunity to leave Philadelphia with the victory if a couple breaks go their way, and it's nice to see. But at the same time, you have to actually go out there and do it. And that's what's tough, is that sometimes you see when momentum plays shift and things like that, the Lions sometimes don't respond. So for me, I'm thinking this is an opportunity for the Lions to get a win, and it will be definitely important because the following week is going to be an absolute nightmare to try and scheme for Patrick Mahomes. Very important to get this win in Philadelphia. I think they can do it.
Yeah, I think this is a Philadelphia team that they're vulnerable, and I think you can go in there. I know they're going to want to come out and get a victory after their loss over the Atlanta Falcons. Especially the way that they lost on that heartbreaking Julio Jones touchdown in week 2. But I think that it's possible. They have banged up wide receivers. Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson are both banged up, so it'll be interesting to see what their availability is going to be going into the week. And I think we can match up with them. I think this team, they're still gelling, they're still getting into the swing of the NFL season. Yeah, it's going to be a tough game, and they're going to need to play for the entire 60 minutes. But I think they can hang. And it would be nice to go and get the win, but I'm also not guarantee. I'm not about to guarantee it.
All right, enjoyed this segment with Jason Jarvi talking about the Detroit Lions. We get a chance to record when we can. Now, before I get you out of here, next week we'll probably have an opportunity to go more in depth as we research what the heck has happened with Michigan State and the evolution of that offense, because it's just quite terrible. Everyone's talking about it. That's the thing that, when you look at the Michigan State program, is the thing that everyone's highlighting, is that Mark D'Antonio has basically brought down the program because of his unwillingness to adapt. And so that's the word for me, is adapt. D'Antonio has refused to adapt that offense to 2019, and unfortunately it puts the spotlight on Mark D'Antonio and what he's done. Give him credit for what he's done, but we're living in 2019, and in sports it's always a what have you done for me lately. And over the past few seasons, he's basically been a 500 coach, and he's absolutely refused to adapt, and it's so frustrating to sit here and talk about 2 straight losses to Arizona State. Unbelievably disappointing. You and I are both Spartan supporters, but I'm upset, and I'm ready to move on. Thank you, Mark, for what you've done, but in 2019, when you don't survey the landscape and see what's out there in terms of progressing the offense, it's wrong. So that's why I think Mark D'Antonio either retires or should be on the hot seat, especially with the, in front of your home fans, to score that many points and not have the, ability to light it up, to not, to make the mistakes that they made. I'm at a loss for words at what happens. What one word describes how frustrating it is for you being a Spartan supporter?
The one word to describe for me this Arizona State loss is just, I I wish I could give you a little bit more eloquent word, but it's disappointing because that's what it is. Because you go in, well, you had the loss last year, you're at home now, and coming off the huge week against Western, I know you're not going to do the same thing. It's not going to be a complete blowout, but I want you to go out there and I want you to win at home against a team that you should beat. And honestly, I think they played a better game than Arizona State. You know, looking at the drives, it didn't look like Arizona State had better. You know, they weren't playing that much better than Michigan State. It came down to basically just a fluke. And I mean, I'd like to say that Michigan State wins this game more often than not if they were to replay it again, but they lost it. This is the reality that we live in, and we have to pick up the pieces now. And I'm not calling for Mark D'Antonio to be fired. You know, at this point though, I am ready for him to retire whenever he wants to. I'm just not sure when that's going to happen for him.
Thank you, Jason. Always enjoy the conversation. Everybody wish Jason Jarvi on Twitter a happy birthday, @Jarvi the King. Look forward to talking to you next week. You've just downloaded the latest edition of the Motor City Sports Rant. Talk soon, Jason.
Later.
Okay, nice, idiot. You. Bye-bye.
Good day, sir. I said good day.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Loser.